And if you want to know what my thoughts were on the movie, well, let's just say that'll be another review for another day. Greetings, fabulous people of the internet! Hanime on Anime here, and welcome to another brand new review. And in case you're wondering why I'm wearing this lovely neon orange t-shirt and have this Pray for KyoAni banner running on the bottom of my video here, then clearly you didn't read one of my more recent blog posts. Don't lie to me, I know you didn't. But in case you didn't, let me quickly explain.
To honor those affected by the recent KyoAni fire, I will be wearing an orange shirt throughout August and September, as well as running a Pray for KyoAni banner in all of my videos, as well as on the thumbnails for all of the videos that I'll be posting in these months. I'll also be doing a KyoAni themed event for September, where I'll be reviewing a few of their shows.
But I'll talk about that later. Right now, we need to be getting on with today's review because... oh, good Lord. I've got a lot to say about this film. Especially considering that it's based off of a wonderful show and it's starting to become a personal favorite within the past few months. So, let's get this over with and get started with today's review on My Hero Academia 2 Heroes.
Set between the events of seasons 2 and 3, this film, based off the popular series, takes the students of Class 1A, most of them, to I Island, a specialized island where scientists work on hero-related tech like support items and devices. At this time, the island is getting ready for the I Island Expo, a special event where some of the latest in hero technology is displayed and demonstrated to the general public.
So, think of the World Fair, except for anime.
All Might and Izuku Midoriya are not only on the island for the expo, but also to see Dr. David Shield, a renowned scientist in the field of hero tech and All Might's dear friend and old partner while All Might was in America. However, during the expo's opening events, a group of villains overrun the island's security system and take the entire island hostage, while imprisoning many pro-heroes, including All Might, in the process. This leaves Izuku, the students of Class 1A, again, most of them, and Dr. Shield's daughter Melissa to get the island system back up and to stop the villains. And as action-packed and awesome as this all sounds, stick around and you'll see why this film needed a rescue.
When you hear the name My Hero Academia, you would likely expect to hear about a great story about never giving up on your dreams and being the best person you can be. And superheroes. And I say this not just as somebody who has watched and analyzed this show before on my blog, but I also say this as a fan.
Overall, I give My Hero Academia 2 Heroes a 65.
Yeah, pretty scathing score here, but as an anime critic and fan of the show, I had quite a few problems with this movie. And I think the best problem to start off with is the non-existent theme that's synonymous with the show. In other words, the very heart of the show is nowhere to be found in this movie.
My Hero Academia is a beautiful story about how you should never give up on your dreams, even if they seem impossible or out of reach. All of it centers around this idea of having enough hope and faith to see your goals and dreams accomplished. This, to me anyways, is why I love the show and why I think it's one of the best anime shows of the decade. Its message is old and has been repeated over and over, but it's presented in this fresh way by putting it in a world of superheroes.
And if this show's message and story are just as powerful and well crafted, so too are its characters.
I bet you could go through the cast and at least find one character, at least one, in the entire show that you not only love, but relate to on a pretty deep level. FYI, mine is Todoroki. In fact, you could watch this show and find most of the characters likable and relatable. I said most of them.
What also makes this show particularly unique is that it achieves a perfect balance of great story and of great characters.
These are two elements to any show or film that I sadly feel like are almost never balanced. In fact, there are only a handful of anime films and shows that have managed to achieve both flawlessly. And it's because of these elements that makes My Hero Academia one of the best anime shows out there today.
How does Two Heroes mess this up? The producers took one look at it and said, "Let's make money off of this!"
I remember going to one of the limited theater screenings of the dub and walking out of the film feeling like I was being sold this movie. And that is this film's biggest problem. It's pretty much a giant marketing tool for the franchise, and it doesn't hide the fact that it's selling itself out. This is such a huge disservice to the show's overall themes and message. Heck, the good-hearted message is nowhere to be found in this movie. Instead, it subjects itself to some of the most overused and annoying movie cliches and even reuses scenarios that have played out better in the show. For example, when the island is taken over, the students of Class 1A, once again, most of them, decide to override the system by quietly and quickly sneaking past the villains without having to fight them.
That sounds like a great plan there, movie. But there's just one problem with that. Well, let me think what that is for a minute. Let's see. Oh yeah, episode 46 did that!
Not only that, they actually managed to make it for 2 episodes without getting caught. In the movie, it doesn't even work 10 minutes in. Why reuse this idea when it was done so much better in the show? Did the creators not think somebody would notice?
Oh, and just to stop with this running gag that's been going on throughout the entire video, why is it that only half of Class A gets in on the action here?
No joke. While all of Class 1A makes it to the expo, half of the class gets reduced to cameos. Why? How much more awesome would it be if the entire class got a chance to fight or get in on the action in this movie? Seriously, were these characters just not popular enough to get some decent screen time? I doubt that, since one of the cameos is from supposedly the best girl in the entire series.
Look it up. It's a thing.
Heck, they even pull off one of the more popular Disney tropes by having a surprise villain. No, I take that back. There's not 1, not 2, but 3 surprise villains.
Creating a new phenomenon I like to call the convoluted surprise villain triangle. It's stupid as heck!
Yeah, it turns out Dr. Shield hired the villains thinking they were actors. Wow, that was stupid. To set up this entire takeover so he could steal back an invention he was making to help All Might regain his powers. But then it turns out Dr. Shield's assistant sold him out so he could get paid by the villains for setting the whole thing up. And finally, in the dumbest twist in the movie, we learned that it was All for One the whole time who set the whole thing up, all just because he could.
What?
Why the flying heck do we need All for mentioned in the film at any point in time, nor was there any build up to this reveal. So why was this needed? There is absolutely no freaking reason for All for One to be in this movie, and the film would have been perfectly fine with this wolf metal guy as the main villain. Other anime films have done just fine without having a canon villain as its main villain. The fact that this film includes him for dramatic effect is not only mind-boggling to me, but proves further at how much this film is pandering at the show's fans. Any My Hero Academia fan is going to get excited because it's the show's main antagonist. But there's no weight to it because there was nothing in the film that indicated All for One had a hand in this film's conflict, making this a lousy twist and a lousy cameo.
In fact, instead of focusing on a major antagonist from the show that had no business being in this movie, the film should have taken a chance on the one opportune character that was right in front of them. Which leads to my final problem with this movie.
Of all the missed opportunities Two Heroes had with its plot, Melissa was by far the biggest one. I really think the movie should have had her as its central focus. Why? Because she has more reason than anyone else in this film to bring across the franchise's powerful message. It's briefly mentioned in a moment between her and Izuku that Melissa is quirkless. And yet, nothing is done with it. It's given a little exposition through dialogue between her and Izuku, but it's never brought up again. Why not? This would be a great plot point to focus on.
Like I said, if the focus had been on Melissa being quirkless and how she deals with it, we could have gotten a better movie.
Heck, maybe instead of her being this great future scientist, maybe she's this quiet and reserved outcast who's insecure. Heck, maybe even ashamed of herself for being quirkless. Melissa herself mentions that she wasn't the star student she currently is now. Maybe we should have seen her at this point where she was this underachiever. In fact, why not have the reason for bringing All Might to Island being so that she could find some sort of advice or motivation? Like having the whole meetup with Dr. Shield be some kind of a ruse.
Oh, and speaking of Dr. Shield, the whole subplot about him making an invention for All Might is stupid.
There is almost no reason for Dr. Shield to have made this device for All Might because the fans know that All Might losing his powers is going to happen no matter what some device is able to do. And I know, someone out there would argue, well, Dr. Shield doesn't know that. That is true, and we do understand why he makes this invention in the first place. But again, it seems like it's unneeded, not to mention useless, considering what fans of the show already know.
If you wanted to make the whole idea about the invention actually interesting, maybe instead of using it on All Might, use it on Melissa.
Going back to my earlier point about making Melissa's quirklessness central to the film's plot, what if Dr. Shield made the invention for her? The film clearly states that not only is Melissa quirkless, but Dr. Shield is as well. Maybe he feels bad that she never developed a quirk and understands how it feels to grow up without having one. In fact, maybe this affects their relationship. The film also indicates that the two have a close father and daughter relationship. Why not have it start out where they don't have the best relationship? Maybe the two become distant with Melissa failing in school because she feels like she can't accomplish anything without a quirk. Again, inviting All Might to Island would have been a means to help resolve the issue with Melissa dealing with being quirkless. Yeah, you can tell there is so much that could have been done with this plot point, but nope, none of it is taken advantage of. It's just there and that's it. It's kind of frustrating looking back at this movie and thinking how far it is from its source material. Because again, this was an opportune moment and it completely missed it.
Again, This comes from a great show with great characters and a great message. But because it decided to focus on, oh my God! It becomes a massive disservice to this wonderful franchise. But even with that in mind, it's not doing anything that wrong.
While I could rant for days on end at how much this film misses the mark in doing its source material literal justice, it is in fact a fun action film. And I know I've poked fun earlier at how fans will goggle at the random and unnecessary cameos, but I seriously doubt any one of them would be disappointed in the fight scenes. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy them myself. Granted, at the time I saw this movie in theaters, I sat behind a group of fangirls who screamed every time one of the main characters popped up. And that got grating pretty fast. This is definitely a film made for the fans, and it's definitely appreciated. Just don't be a squealing fangirl because it irks the one autistic viewer in the theater.
In fact, if there was one thing that this movie got right, it was the fight scenes.
Both the opening and ending fight scenes are some of the best moments in the entire film. The animation is spectacular, using some pretty well-deserved sakuga. Come to think of it, it wouldn't surprise me if the majority of the film's animation budget went into the opening and ending fights.
Oh, and for those of you that just went, huh? Let me give you a quick definition of what sakuga is. Sakuga is a style of animation particularly known in anime that is very detailed, making the movements appear to be more realistic and detailed, almost replicating that of Western animation.
In other words,
it's really good animation.
And honestly, I think it's something that My Hero Academia could use a little more of.
now that's not to say it doesn't use it already. In fact, many of the fights from the show use it. But I think if there's any show out there that really needs it, it's My Hero Academia. In fact, I'd be fine if there was more of it in the movie. I got excited watching Izuku and company fight off the big bad guy at the end because everything looks so vibrant and alive. Heck, these pictures certainly don't do it justice. Again, probably the best moment out of the entire film. I even like the opening fight scene too with All Might as a younger hero. Though granted, I don't know why we need Sakuga for just a villain's monologue. But whatever, this fight scene was just cool to watch. Heck, it even has 2 bald eagles to set up how awesome this scene is going to be.
And just so I can bring this back for my season 3 review, America!
Though speaking of America, and on a lighter note, we've gotten a Delaware smash, a Texas smash, a Carolina smash, a Detroit smash, which is weird because Detroit is not a state, and, thanks to the film, a California smash. Isn't it time for a Mississippi smash?
Why, sure enough, I do live in this state called Mississippi. Before you say anything, you know which state is the real national disappointment here. Florida. 'Cause we Mississippians might be ignoramuses, but at least we have our sanity. And pretty good fried chicken.
Anyways, despite the fact that the show has a lot of problems, the fight scenes were not one of them.
Something else, too, that I liked, and bear with me for a second because I know this sounds weird. I liked the fact that we got to see All Might's eyes.
In the show, All Might's eyes are typically black, both in his muscle form and his weaker form, although the weaker form almost has an inverted eye color where his irises are blue. In the film, we get normal blue eyes. And it's kind of a nice look. I bring this up because oftentimes black or shaded eyes are often an indication of anger, frustration, or distaste. At times, characters will look intimidating or even scary with this kind of look. Just look at this crazy person with black eyes and tell me you don't feel all that comfortable.
See? Not particularly pleasant to look at, right?
All Might is a unique exception to this because it's actually a sign of his weariness rather than anger, though we do see him from time to time being angry. But it works in the show because it plays well with his character. And because this is such a common sight for sore eyes, no pun intended, it was kind of cool to see All Might's eyes and what they used to look like before he became older and weaker. Like I said, this might seem like a strange element to the film to focus on, but I liked that it was there.
So overall, in this long-winded and painful review, My Hero Academia 2 Heroes had every opportunity to be a great side story to a great franchise and just a great film in general, but missed it completely. Still, I think My Hero Academia fans can appreciate the cameos and fight scenes, and maybe a few details here and there. It's not a plus ultra watch, but it's still fun and maybe worth a watch. And so that wraps up today's review. As always, thank you so much for watching, and be sure to stay tuned later this month because I'll be reviewing one of probably the best shows of 2019 so far. Aside from that one. Till next time, bye!